So first off, I want to talk about what exactly is ChatGPT. So chat, part of the name, ChatGPT, is related to we can talk with the system that uses the GPTs to communicate, to ask questions, to really do a lot more than we ever could. So it is completely AI driven. So it's using that artificial intelligence, but it uses what is referred to as a large language model, which is the system is taught certain keywords and kind of pulls them together in this large language model to be able to respond. But things have definitely changed in this world in regards to how it responds because now it is connected with the internet. It's got a faster speed than it's ever had before. And of course, new versions have been released. And speaking of the versions, if you do not have a license to use ChatGPT, there is a free version you can sign up for. You are required to put some information in your email address and those kind of things. But it's not going to give you all of the features, but it does include creating custom GPTs, which we'll talk a little bit about that here today. But as you can see, as you get to the paid for versions, the plus version or the pro version, you do get additional features that will be included with those. So like for me, I have the plus version. That's about $20 a month. I'll show you the pricing. I'll show you the website. And I did put a link to the website in your handout as well, because I wanted to make sure you understood the difference between them. The Pro version is pretty expensive, but it does have additional features that we don't get with the Plus, and of course that is not included in the free version. There's also a Teams version, so it's called Team. So if you want to sign up for that, that's a great place to be able to share information and work together as a group. You can have your own workspace. But we do have a new feature that has been released, so I actually canceled my Team license because it's an additional license on top of the Plus. I ended up canceling it because they have this new feature. So we'll talk about what that new feature is in a moment. There is an enterprise version so that it can be available to everybody within your organization as well, just so you're aware of that. But I wanted to show you the website that gives you the pricing and the breakdown of everything so that you have a better idea as to what you might be needing. So let me zoom this a little bit here. It's a little bit small. So I went to the openai.com into ChatGPT pricing. So basically what you're going to find on here, sorry, I zoomed a little bit too much, is it's going to show you exactly what I was showing you, except for of course, the free version is no money, $20 a month for the Plus, and then the Pro version is $200 a month. The Teams version, as you saw on that slide too. But for the enterprise version, you do have to contact their sales department because it depends on how many users. So they kind of structure it the way that Microsoft structures their licensing program. It works that way with the enterprise as well. So just so you're aware of that. So I will go through some different changes to the subscription, but if you do have an account already set up with ChatGPT and want to give some of these things a try, I encourage you to go to their website. So they have changed their URL a while back. It is now just chatgpt.com. So super easy to get to. If you don't have an account already set up, you will be prompted to get an account set up. But I do want to talk a little bit more about, kind of the changes that are happening within the system. There is subscription changes. They just announced the Pro version that I mentioned, and it will come up and tell you if something can't be used that you do need the Pro. Pretty expensive, but it does give you quite a bit. I'm good with just paying the $20 a month. That gives me everything that I personally have ever needed. So some things to consider. So anyway, the changes that we're going to be covering today, there's going to be kind of a few different things that I can't demonstrate. I will show you a video of one of those. So bear with me on the video because I can't demonstrate it, but I do want you to see what it is. But when it comes to working with the tasks, we have built-in task reminders as part of ChatGPT now. So I'll demonstrate that so you can actually see how all that works. It has some additional GPTs, generative performance transformers, that we also can use. So I'll demonstrate one of those for you today as well. But probably my favorite part, which I no longer do the team part because of this, is we have a new feature called projects. So I'll demonstrate for you how projects works so you can get a better idea and give you a little bit more information on that. But also Canvas has been updated. It's a great user interface for people that do programming. So it's more specific, but they now have the Mac OS app available for that as well. So that's going to kind of be the general areas of what we'll discuss. So what I wanted to do to kind of get us started here is show you some of the changes on the user interface. So let me go out to the website here. So we still have the navigation pane on the left-hand side. You do access your account, which includes your settings at the top right. But there are some changes to that, so I'll come back to that in a second. But on the left-hand side, there's a new category called projects that you'll see. If you don't have any projects already created, it just says projects and gives you the plus sign. So I'll walk you through how to use that, how to create a new one, and the benefits of having that. It's pretty cool. So the other thing that I have on my left-hand side that you may not see on yours yet is yesterday I scheduled a task reminder, and because I went in to do that, it added that category to my left-hand side. So just so you know, that's how that piece of it is going to work. It's going to modify the left-hand side as you do different things. Plus, at the top left, where it gives you access to your GPTs, which if you're familiar with how ChatGPT works, we can use these additional add-ins of these GPTs or create our own if we feel comfortable doing that. There is one on my left-hand side that you may be seeing if you have the updated version. It's called Sora. I'll demonstrate Sora today. It's a pretty cool feature, so I'll show you how that works today as well. So we'll get into a little bit more of that. But then, of course, you're still going to see your history of your previous chats, and we can still manage those like we did before. We just hesitate and go to the menu on the right-hand side of it. So just so you're noticing that that piece is the same. But what you're also going to find is on the bottom left of the navigation pane is where the plans are. So if you go into view plans, it will show you what you're currently at and where you could upgrade, where you could make some of those changes. Now, of course, I'm not going to personally do that. I'm going to keep mine, but that's where you would go to do the plans. And then I want to start at the top right with, before we kind of dive into a couple of these new features today, because at the top right, there's a couple of things that are important to understand where changes came into play. So by default, we are now using ChatGPT 4.0. We're using that model for our chatting capabilities. And with that as our default now, which by the way, the O stands for Omni. I do have that described for you in your handout. I won't read all that to you. That's for you for later. But because we are now using 4.0 model, we do have some additional features that are available. So let me point a couple of those out. If you go to the top right to your profile, so once you have an account set up, you can see right away that I'm in a personal account. I used to have my team, and so that's why it says the name of my company at the top, but that team workspace is disabled right now because I canceled my account. So that's why you're seeing that. But otherwise, you're going to see that where you access tasks. So if we want to schedule a task to have a reminder and different things like this, we can do that directly here through chat, through ChatGPT, but we do that from the menu at the top right, just so you know that's there. I'll demonstrate that in a little bit. The things that I really kind of wanted to mention in here is the settings have changed a little bit. So it's a good idea in every program to always know what your settings are, even if you're using Microsoft Excel, whatever, especially Outlook and the new Outlook, which we'll do in another session. But when you come into your settings, the setting categories are on the left. The options for that category are on the right. A couple of things that I want to point out on the notifications. They're going to do push notifications and email notifications by default. But if you don't want one of those, you could turn it off. So if you get a notification through ChatGPT, it will automatically push it to you. You'll get a banner notification. But if you want to turn those off, feel free to do so. The personalization is where your memory is. So it gives you a description of what it actually does. So ChatGPT will become more helpful to you as a user of it if it keeps track of things that you do. So it does have a memory, but you can clear the memory out. So it's like your history. It kind of keeps track on how you do things. Some of this is part of our settings that we put in, which I'll show you that here in a second, but some of it comes from there, but otherwise it does keep that in its memory, just so you know that. The speech side of things, we do have voice. In your handout, it does talk about using the voice capabilities. I don't have all of the voice capabilities configured. I haven't used it enough yet, I think is kind of where I'm at to really get a good feel for if I want to use it or not. But I'll talk more about the new features and the updates that we have with both voice and video. Voice and video have been enhanced. But it does have the type of voice I'm using right now is this Soul, but there is a list of different voices you can use because technically we can have a conversation going back and forth with ChatGPT. We do that on our phones more so than on the desktop version, but there is a ChatGPT app. And so I've used that on my phone. We don't get the conversation back and forth on the online version, but on your phone you do. So you want to check that out. But you can always change to a different voice. Play will play the sound that you get. So just like changing your voice on your Alexa and things like that. But anyway, just so you know, you have that. Under the data controls, this is where your account information is, improve the model for everybody. Shared links are kept under here, your exported data, those types of things. But the thing that I highly recommend everyone does is goes into the builder profile, because this is where we can actually, so it knows who you are, it's got your name on there, but the other things is it can add links to give you quick, easy access to different information. Like I have my Microsoft account connected to my ChatGPT, so that if I go to add a file, I get the capabilities of going to my Microsoft account for that. But if you have a LinkedIn, you use X, anything like that, you can add links to those in there as well. And then also on the connected apps, those are for other connections that you could have. This is more for the Drive capabilities. So if you're using Google Drive where you can access the files, you have a personal OneDrive or a work OneDrive. I connect my OneDrive for my business because I want to make sure that if I go to get a file, I want to have that connected. So all we have to do is say we want to connect it and it automatically is connected. So I just showed you because I had disconnected it yesterday so I could show you how that worked. So it's really just choosing your account information. It may ask you for a password too, so your Microsoft password, or if you have Google Drive, it may ask you for your connectivity information, your username and password. But mine goes right in because I had it already connected. But anyway, we also have security on the left-hand side. You can log out of ChatGPT from all of your devices at one time. So if you're using a desktop, a laptop, a tablet, you have it on your phone, etc. It knows your account information because you log in, but if you wanted to log out of all of those at one time, you certainly can. And then, of course, you're going to see your subscription information from here too. There's another area of some settings that I'll talk about as we go through. But a couple of things that I wanted to mention. At the top left, when you're on the right-hand side of the window, not the navigation pane, you will see your ChatGPT model that you're currently using to work with the system. If you click that drop down, you're going to see there is this ChatGPT with scheduled tasks, which is in beta. So I could switch over to that, or I could go to the 01. I could drop down to the 03 with the mini version. It's got other models as well. They have not given an actual release date for ChatGPT 5 yet. So Omni is the latest and greatest. So ChatGPT O is going to be the fastest one that we have available as of right now. We also still have that temporary chat. So if you want to do chatting, you can slide the button over for a temporary chat, and it's not going to keep the chat in your history. Otherwise, all the chats that you do are kept on the left-hand side unless you delete them or you clear your history. But if you're going to do a chat and you know you never need to see it again, you can just have it be temporary so it does disappear right away. Okay, just so you're aware of that. And then they changed the kind of the look of the user interface here. You know, how can I help, or what can I help with? Of course, you still have your message box, but you have your plus sign to upload a file. So if you're going to ask ChatGPT for some information about a file or an image or anything like that, it can do that just clicking on the plus sign like we did before. The search, we're telling it to search the web to find the information that we're looking for. So it does have that capability, just like we do in Copilot. So they added this to ChatGPT as well. Then you have a menu for viewing your different tools that are available. And these are the two most common GPTs. So they gave them to us as a menu. So if you're going to be working with an image, it's best that you click the image to use the DALL-E. The DALL-E. I always have to kind of pause on that E because it's kind of a separate. But that's our image GPT that we use. So if you're going to ask ChatGPT to create an image, create a new logo, those kind of things, you can use that very quickly and easily now without having to go to the left-hand side and search for it. Also, Canvas is right here as well. Canvas, once again, is for writing and working with code. It's a great canvas of side-by-sides and different things like that. But otherwise, you're going to have suggested prompts available underneath, where if we wanted to summarize text, we want to do code, we want to make plans, whatever the case would be, these are going to be some quick, easy access to some prompting that you could do. There is a more button on the right that you can go to get more options within that suggestions. Okay, but let's go to the left-hand side and talk about a couple of things that have really been enhanced. So on page 2, recent updates to ChatGPT in your handout talks about the Pro plan that was introduced in December. That's really that plan that costs $200 a month and you get a lot of extra things with it. But this 4.0 rolled out to be the default version. We had it available in the drop down before, but now it's our default. That came out automatically for the plus versions and the team users, and it does support over 50 languages now. So if you're working with doing any translating, or you want to talk with it in a different language, you can actually do that. There's also advanced voice modes, so expanded to browsers, allowing for more interactive voice capabilities in different areas. Voice is not available everywhere, but they've definitely made some great improvements on the voice and the changes to the video capabilities in ChatGPT. So improved file handling with this 4.0, this Omni version. We can do custom instructions now. I'll show you an example of how that works. We have the scheduled tasks. We have this new feature called projects. And then we have voice and video updates. And then, of course, the default of the model that we're using being the Omni version. And I gave you just a little bit of information about what exactly does that give you. It's really fast compared, if we think back on when ChatGPT was first released, it was pretty sluggish. And of course, when you had the free version, most of the time you couldn't get in because it was busy. It had too many people in it. They rate this version as being more human-like than we've ever had with ChatGPT before. So the human-like response that we get back is fantastic. So from Turbo, there's been a lot of changes. And I did give you some additional information in case you wanted to kind of check that out. But let's go to the left-hand side and talk about some of these new features that we have. I'm actually going to start with a project. So let's say that you have some things that you're going to be working on and you want to keep everything organized in one central location. Easy way to do that now is by using a project. We can put in different files, we can have conversations, we can do tasks inside there. We can be doing, and the conversation piece is using the chatting capabilities. So let's see how that works. So to do a new project, you will go to the plus sign next to the word project on the left-hand side. You'll give the project a name. So it's showing you an example of a birthday party planning. And then it just says, what is a project? Project keeps chats, files, and custom instructions. So let me go ahead and I'm going to name this project. And I'm going to say that this project is going to be working with ChatGPT. So I'm going to create the project, and then you'll be in a new window. Specifically, everything that you do will then be a part of that project. So it adds it to the left-hand side. You can see under projects, it now says working with ChatGPT, which by the way, you can go back and rename things. But when you come in, what it's going to give you first is at the top left, there's a folder icon. So notice on the left-hand side under my projects, I have 2 folders. Each folder can be a different color. It's a nice visual. I like it. I have been using it for a while. I just think it's kind of cool. So anyway, I'll pick a color so that folder changes to that color on the left-hand side. So one little nicety. But then, of course, you can always do a new chat in this project, which I'll demonstrate in a second. First, I'm going to actually come down to these 2, where it says add files and add instructions, which, by the way, just so you know, starting on page... Let me get to this page. Page 5 of your handout is all the details of using this projects feature. Okay, just so you're aware. But I'm going to click Add Instructions first. And this is really something that I would recommend you do. You can see that it says tailor the way ChatGPT responds in this project. So for this particular project, how do you want ChatGPT to work with your items? So I'm going to go ahead and click on that, and you can see it's giving you a little bit of information about it, and it's suggesting, here's some suggestions: respond in Spanish, refer to the latest Java documentation, keep answers short and focused. So if these are things that you normally would have to write in the chat, don't do it there. Do it here instead, so that it knows that for all things. And then if you want something different, like if I want 2 paragraphs or I want 10 bulleted list items, I can tell the chat to do that. Otherwise, this is going to be what you would want on a more regular basis. So I'm going to say use PMI terminology for your answers, because I'm going to be working on a project. I want to make sure that it's using, the same terminology from PMI, so just so you kind of get an idea as to what you could put in there. Keep the answers to 1 short paragraph. All right, so I'm going to click Save, so that is going to be saved so that as I'm doing different things, so that's always the first thing that I want to set up. I change the folder color, I set up the instructions for this project, because other projects might have different instructions that you want to use. But then I can add files, so it says chats in this project can access file content. So if I have specific files that I'm going to be using with this project, I can add these files in. So I'm going to go ahead, I clicked on Add Files, I'm going to click the plus sign here so I can upload those files. Oops, sorry. Come on. a little slow. Once I come out to my computer, I'm going to go in and grab a couple of files that I want it to refer to. Just to give you some ideas, I'll go into Excel and I'll say I want this file and this file, and I'll click open. Now it can be any file types, it can be images, whatever it is that you need, you can add those to this project. It's a nice central location that we don't have to go back later and have to add things in that we want to ask it a question about. Okay. Well, file content may not be accessible. Not sure why, but let me go ahead and leave that one file in there. So I can see right now when I come into this workspace for this project, I can see I have one file in there and I have instructions and I can see what my instructions state. So now I can do different things. So I can come in and I could do a new chat because I want to find out some information. Does this file refer to ChatGPT at all? So I'm asking it information about a file that I have within this project, and it will, of course, analyze all your files and see if there's any information in there that relates to whatever it is that you put in. I could say, I want you to, look for this information. I want you to do this information. I want you to come up with a summary of this file, whatever happens to be whatever your needs are. So it's analyzing that data. It's taking a little bit, and I don't know if my internet is a little slow. No, so it basically came back and said, no, this file doesn't contain any reference to ChatGPT. You can see up at the top, I'm working with ChatGPT as the name of my project. That then I had ChatGPT file reference, so it's keeping track of what I'm doing in here. So I'm going to come down to the message window again. If I wanted to give me the 3 top uses for ChatGPT. Oops, I seriously cannot type today. So I can have everything contained into one central area as you are working on something. I'm really liking this feature, having this project, because it was really difficult. You couldn't really do that on the left-hand side before. You'd have the one chat category, which, yes, you could upload files and stuff, but you'd have to go back up to find that file again. And you couldn't do good conversations about the same thing over and over again. So I really like this central location of where your project information is going to go. But it came back with the answer of having the top 3. So people use it for customer support and visual assistance. We use it for content creation. We use it for education and research. You still get your same features down below. So you can copy this. You can go into edit the canvas if you're using a canvas related to it as well. But back down to the bottom again on this project, you have a plus sign where you could upload more files again. So I could go directly into my Microsoft OneDrive because I have it connected. Otherwise, I could only do upload from my computer. So I'm going to go ahead and pop out there just so you could see how this part of it works, different than when I went to the bottom and added a file. So I'm going to say I want to go into my clinic. And by the way, it can access my SharePoint site, so I'm actually going into a SharePoint document library. I'm going to go into my general folder, and I'll grab this Excel or this Word document. So I brought this Word document in because I wanted to chat about that document. So maybe I want it to summarize this document.
Hey, Jolynn.
Yes.
We just have a question. Yeah, so the question is, what would be the benefits or lack thereof of using a lower model or an older version of ChatGPT?
Well, you always want to make sure that you are using the most current version, but the difference, if you go back out to that website, you can see the differences between the free version let me scroll back up here, the free version and the paid for version. So we're going to get access to everything from the free, but what it doesn't include is extended limits on your messages, your file uploading. So it's very limited. You can't do, you can only do so many chats a day and that kind of a thing. The voice capabilities that we have built in, you're limited to the Omni One and Mini. We have lesser versions, slower versions, and the other one, the non-paid for. Create and use custom GPTs, for me, is one of them. We can use custom GPTs if somebody else creates them, but we can't actually create them ourselves. So for it, to me, it's worth $20 a month just for those features. But as you can see, of course, Pro has a lot more. So it has everything in all three categories. But $200 a month is a little bit steep, I think.
Steep.
But, so I
And
hope
what
that
about,
helped.
yeah,
Yes.
and what about the different versions for coding and all that? There's you know.
Well, when it comes to coding, if you want to use Canvas, you do have to have a paid for version. So if somebody is going to be using code, I have it write VBA in Python for me all the time, but I do that in Copilot as well. But I'll have it compare or look for mistakes in code, and that's where Canvas is going to come into a play, because Canvas can have your original code over here and then your edited code over here, and it can do comparisons. So Canvas is definitely a recommended. So you will want to have at least plus, at least plus.
So there are advantages to the different versions of ChatGPT for
Absolutely.
specific tasks.
Correct. 100%. Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. And I forgot to bring my chat window back up here, so I didn't, in my video, so I didn't see your hand raised. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Keep that open there. All right. So let's talk about what else we can be doing with ChatGPT here. So let me jump back to lost my mouse. There we go. So anyway, when you come into using ChatGPT here in this project, down at the bottom left, besides adding a file and then having it look through the file and, answer questions about it or do things with it, can you help me rewrite and whatever, we could still be doing all those same prompting. But when you go to the tools down at the bottom, you still get access to use image and canvas. So if I click the use image, it knows to use that GPT to help me do an image. Otherwise, it does images, but it's not quite as good. So it's always recommended to add this in. So if I wanted to generate an image of ChatGPT on a laptop screen, I'll just see what it comes back with. Matthew, did you have a question while we're waiting for that?
Yes, we do. A big question. I think this one, a lot of people are worried about this one. Does ChatGPT share my document information in other areas, other users outside my office? We were told not to put proprietary information and confidential information into ChatGPT.
Right. So what they're referring to when it comes to the confidential information is do not put, because of the memory that it has, don't put company information. My ABC company is filing for bankruptcy. What can I do? Or, things like that. Don't ever put anything like that out there, because it does learn from what we're putting in. So just so you kind of keep that confidential information out. Use generic information, but when it comes to the files, they don't have access to your files. So there is a little bit of a difference there. But what you type in here, they can use that. To a certain extent, they use it.
So to clarify, they can't access the actual information within the file unless you bring that information out into the chat yourself.
Correct. Unless you bring it yourself. Yep. Nice. Okay. All right. Okay. So anyway, it came back with my image, based on the terrible description that I gave it. If I wanted to have it make any changes to it, of course I could, but it is using the DALL-E technology to build this. It is amazing what we can do with images. But all of this was done within that project. So if I go to the left-hand side, I can see my projects, or if I want to go back to something that I did earlier, all I have to do is click on it and I can always get back to anything. So if I'm working on something else with ChatGPT, like if I want to do a new chat and I just go to the ChatGPT at the top or click on the new icon that we've had, it will bring me back to my new window. But if I want to continue to work with that project, I go back to the project folder. Notice that it gives you the information underneath it. So ChatGPT file reference, it's telling me that I did that right now, but that will eventually disappear because it was today that I did it. Stays there for today and then that will disappear. I'll just see the name of the folder moving forward. Okay, so we still get the regular, of course, chatting that we're always going to do, but I got to tell you, I'm using projects a lot. If I go back to the actual project itself, I can hesitate and get a little menu where I could delete the project when I'm done. But if I want to make changes to it or anything, you click on the name of it to bring the project back up. You can always go to the title and edit the title. So I just clicked on the name of the title when it took me into the pencil for edit, and I could always change the name if I wanted to. So we don't change it over on the left-hand side, which is, I think, kind of strange because if we go back to a previous chat, I can go to rename it from the drop-down menu. I can share it, I can rename it, I can archive it, I can delete it. So it doesn't work exactly the same with the project folders, just so you know. I think they'll probably change that because I've been already hearing people say, why do I have to go into it to change it? But that's the way it looks right now. But I want to talk about some other things that we have available. I'm going to go to the top right. Oh, I don't want to be in my project though. I'm going to just go to regular ChatGPT. And at the top right, I'm going to go into tasks. I'm going to go into tasks because it changes your screen. So right now I'm seeing I scheduled a task with student one of my coworkers. If I wanted to edit, I would go to the edit option. Otherwise, I can go to the menu where I could pause it. So it's not going to do a reminder to them. Or I could delete it. So just so you can see, you can manage it that way. But if we want to create something new, we can, and by the way, I didn't change this over. When I was back here in ChatGPT, I could have gone this way and turned on with scheduled tasks. I could have changed that as well, which usually I do if I'm going to chat. So usually I do that first, then I go to the right-hand side and click tasks. So it takes me into the task category. So it kind of depends on, exactly what it is that you're going to be working with. But I'm going to show you, if I just click on this, I can type in. So I clicked on the chat up at the top or the task at the top, and I get a new window where I can put in whatever message it is I want to ChatGPT. I could go into the plus, I could go into telling it to search the web, which by the way is just a toggle button. And then of course I have my tools as well. And I can only use the image tool when I'm in a chat. Okay, just so you could see that. But otherwise, if you want to, they're improving this, by the way, and I do have a little bit in your handout on this. This is so new. There's still issues with it. So I wouldn't jump on the bandwagon thinking that this is going to be a perfect tool to use to, schedule reminders and stuff. I still highly recommend you do that right in Outlook. Don't do it through ChatGPT just yet. They're going to be having another update coming out here shortly. I just read this a couple of days ago because there's been some issues. So I'm not going to take it any further today because of the issues, but watch for that. Start using it and give it another couple weeks or a month. Okay. Matthew, did someone have a question? Okay, sorry. I thought I saw something pop up there. Wanted a quick check.
Nope, but
Okay.
someone does have a question.
Okay.
With some new features coming from Copilot where it can look through your documents and pull out the answer to your query, is that a better alternative if we are worried about confidentiality but want to use AI to work better?
100%. That is the answer. Yes.
There you go.
Always use your Microsoft Copilot. because it's most likely a Microsoft document anyway. So it would just make more sense to do it there, and you would do it in the Copilot chat feature. Or you could do it right in the document, but okay, good.
All right.
That was a great question.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go back to the left-hand side. I want to talk about a couple of other things before we run out of time here. Sora is a new GPT that you do have to have a license for. I only have the I don't have the Pro version, I only have the Plus version. With the Pro version, you get better capabilities with this, but this is video related. So yesterday, just so I had something I could quick show you, I had it create a video of a specific van driving through Zion National Park. So you basically, down at the bottom, it says describe your video. So I'm going to describe my video as saying, use a laptop to display Excel worksheet and making changes. That's the first thing that came to my head. But if you go in and you just press enter, it's going to automatically take the description that you put in and it's going to generate a video for you. So you can have it be doing all kinds of different things for you. So I am really liking this feature. I haven't been using it a long time. I just started using it and I just was testing it with different things and I delete them when I'm done. But it's not super fast yet, but they are going to be improving the speed here over probably the next 6 to 8 months, just so you're aware. So right now it's 90% done based on the description that I gave it. I did forget to mention that when you go to generate this and it takes a little bit longer, you can change your resolution and things too. It has different tools down at the bottom. Okay, just so you know that you can modify those options before you generate it. All right, but once this comes up here, it'll be just a second. So there you can see, here's the video. I just clicked on it so I could play it on a bigger screen. So it's showing someone actually making changes to the worksheet. So depending on what it is that you need, these will be great for training purposes. So let's say that you're coming up with a new workflow that's going to be related to invoicing. You could have it generate an image based on the process that you're having people go through. I mean, it's unbelievable the things that I've been thinking about how people are going to be able to use this. But anyway, that's Sora for today. That's all I'm going to demonstrate on it for today because I don't really, like I said, have a lot of experience in it yet. I've just been doing a few things. By the way, you can always go back to that image because it keeps track of, or your videos, I should say. It keeps track of your videos and you can always go to the menu at the bottom and delete them if you're not going to keep it. You can also copy it and you can use it in other places as well. But once again, this is relatively new. They will be making some enhancements to it as they go along. But we also have some additional GPTs that are available now. So if you go to the left-hand side and click GPT, it will bring up a more enhanced menu than we've had in the past. So these are, I call them add-ins that can help you with the conversations that you're having with the ChatGPT system. So basically, if you're going to be doing writing, you could go to the writing category and add a GPT to help you with specific types of writing. So it's like a little add-in helper with the ChatGPT. Here's Canvas under productivity, presentation slides for PowerPoint and stuff. But once again, if you have Copilot, you should be going straight to PowerPoint and using the Copilot in there because it can do everything that ChatGPT can. But anyway, you can see the different categories, or I could go to the top and go to the different categories as well. You can, if you have the license, you can create your own GPTs at the top right as well. But each one of these categories, and here's programming, by the way. If I click see more, it's going to show you additional options because it only shows you so many in the first menu. So always click on that because they're adding new ones to these categories all the time. So I don't know, Matthew, if you're answering that question. I just saw it pop up on what is Copilot. Copilot is Microsoft's Chat GPT. So right in Microsoft, if you pay for an extra subscription to have Copilot, Copilot is built in to work with all of your 365 apps. So like if I'm in Excel, I can say create a formula, create a pivot table, do things like that. Or in a Word document, you can use it. And it's such a great assistant. So it's like ChatGPT, but it's going to work directly with your 365 apps automatically. But anyway, so enhanced GPTs, always want to check those out because these are going to be the ones that will help you with your prompting. So when you go to prompt a question to ChatGPT, it can take advantage of using these additional tools. Okay? In your handout, I do have on the bottom of page 4, I wanted to mention this real quick. I do have a link to ChatGPT release notes. This is a website that they publish all the latest and greatest information that is coming. So just so you can see that here it's talking about Canvas sharing is available now as of February 6th, more personalization to our custom instructions. Custom instructions, once again, we saw that in the project where we went to the bottom right, just so you know what that was. But here it's giving you information about what came out last fall, that kind of a thing. So anyway, this is where you're going to find all the updates. So highly recommend using that link at the bottom of page 4 of your handout for that so that you can see how all that works. And then the other thing that I wanted to mention is the custom construction instructions that I did when I was in the project itself. The information about using that is in your handout on pages 7 and 8. So setting up those, we have custom instructions for ChatGPT as well as individually in a project. So for just this project, it's going to use the custom instructions you place at the bottom right. But if you want to change it for all of ChatGPT, not inside a project, you can go to the top right and click on your profile, just so you're aware of that. And then the schedule tasks in ChatGPT, like I said, I don't always recommend jumping on the bandwagon when something is still in beta. You might want to give it a little bit, but I did give you instructions on how to get in there and how to use it. I got to tell you, I started using it and it keeps flaking out on me. It does weird things. So I have chosen that I'm going to give it a couple weeks. So just wanted to point that out for you. But also in your handout is some information on the enhancements that they have made to the voice and the video. So we can do voice conversations in certain areas of ChatGPT. You can have a back and forth interaction with the ChatGPT system based on the voice that you set up. You can do video and screen sharing. We can do image uploads. They're much faster, and the analysis that they do is much better than it ever has been. And we have advanced voice modes that we can also be using through our mobile devices. Okay, so I gave you some instructions on how to enable voice conversations. It doesn't work very well on the desktop just yet. That is being enhanced, but on the mobile device, it's been out for a while, and that piece is working great. So if you are in an area, like if I go to do a new chat, what you want to do is, depending on the area that you're in, look at the right-hand side. It used to be a microphone. Now it's this image that you get, but this is use voice mode. Okay, so if you click on that, it opens up voice mode and it can record what it is that you're saying. It can also use voice mode to build and put together things as well. So you can see my microphone is on. I can click it to turn it off if I didn't want to be using it, or I can say end. I'm going to click end. So basically what I was just saying was all being put through that voice mode, but I canceled it. I didn't want to use it. They are making some enhancements to this. But if you're going to try it, you may want to just try it right on your phone until they got this kind of working a little bit better. But this is going to be a great feature. Once they get things kind of tweaked a little bit more, this is going to end up being probably my favorite feature. Now, just so you know, Copilot does have voice capability as well. We're not technically having a conversation just yet, but that is coming to Copilot as well, not just Chat GPT. And the kind of the fixes that they're waiting for, that will be enhanced here shortly, that's really coming from AI, not technically ChatGPT. It's AI is working on some things that are enhancing these features, so it will be better in our programs that we use, like ChatGPT and Copilot. Okay, so the information about Sora is in your handout on pages 13 and 14. And then I gave you a few examples that if you are using a free version of ChatGPT, which is fine. You could start with that, and if you decide you need better, then you can upgrade. Don't upgrade right away. I know I didn't. I started with the free one, but I wanted to give you some examples of kind of if you prompt, how is it going to be different if I do it in ChatGPT 4 versus ChatGPT 4.0? So I gave you, like, one of them is write a 100-word blog post on the benefits of remote work, including productivity, work-life balance, that kind of thing. The response in regular ChatGPT is going to be a detailed, well-constructed blog post covering the requested points. But it's going to give you more information and more detail if you are using the 4.0. Okay, depending on what the question is. So some of the responses will be similar, but I'm going to tell you that a lot of the things that I have it look up for me, I get much better of a response when I am actually using 4.0, and it's much faster. Okay, so just so you're aware of that. And then there's some learning and education examples of the prompts as well. Okay, going all the way through entertainment and health and all kinds of different things. So images are enhanced on, even if we're not using the DALL-E 3, it does use a image system regardless when you're in ChatGPT, but you get more examples, better examples. It can understand your prompting a lot better now with images as well, because it's using more of it uses what I think they refer to it as a multi-model technology behind the scenes. So keep in mind that if you wanted to search the internet, you don't want it just to search within ChatGPT, click the search button so that it's going to search through the internet as well. And if you're going to be using an image, click the view tools and turn on image to use that dolly. Just a couple of things to remind you of before we're done here. But otherwise, I did give you in your handout some upcoming things that are happening here in 2025. This is going to be starting on page 18. The advanced voice mode is going to be coming out. The custom instructions, it's here, but I think they said that there was going to be more enhancements coming here this first quarter. So by the end of March, we will have more enhancements to that. The user-made GPTs, the new GPT store will be available. Canvas mode, it's going to be coming out of beta. It's going to be available for general public as long as you have the correct licensing. You have to actually have the paid for licensing for that. So those are the things that they have, that they've announced so far, that they're going to be working on here in this first quarter. If it says the word beta behind it, be careful. Like the or the task feature, that's still in beta. There's a couple of other things that will be coming out available in beta as long as you keep up with the latest updates of ChatGPT. But like I said, use with caution right now. It's still in test mode. They encourage you to use the thumbs up, the thumbs down to help them to know if things are working well, and you can give them feedback and things like that if you want to as well. So kind of look for those. But I got to tell you, I love this. Projects to me, that is a fantastic tool to use. Otherwise, It has the same capabilities, it's just a lot faster. And I like that we can click the search so that we're telling it if we want it to use the web to be getting back our answers of whatever it is that we're chatting with. Okay, so I hope you picked up on a couple of things that are new. I did have a video that I wanted to quick show you. This is just getting started with Sora. I did put a link in your handout as well. Okay. So I won't run through the whole thing, but it's telling you about the tools that you had down at the bottom. But definitely, if you have access to this because you have the paid for version, check it out. You're going to be amazed at the different things that Sora can do. Okay, but otherwise, that's going to be all I have for ChatGPT today. So Matthew, I'm going to throw it back to you and see if anybody has any questions.